I was just thinking about this. I have a question for anyone out there. My question is this. These ABA hose clamps will crush any kind of copper fitting, anything. I know I have a small vacuum leak right here, and hopefully it won't leak that much. But anyone out there, do you know of any kind of epoxy glue, anything I can use underneath here or around there to seal that problem up until my new radiator comes in? If they're, I know there's a lot of guys in Hawaii that they're just light years ahead of anything this old man's doing over here in the States or in the mainland, whatever you want to call it, Howleyville or whatever. So if anyone has any idea about plugging little vacuum leaks on an old radiator like that, I'd appreciate it. So I've got to get all these nuts and bolts down. Back here, this bolt goes all the way through and almost touches the tire. And what I'll do is it's a little too close for me, I'll bring it back a little bit by putting a washer right here. And this one, the bottom one, I put in a stage or an 8 something bolt down there. And I put on a washer and I put on a really good nut on it. So what I want to do when I do the pipe, your main thing is you want to get your pipe inlet to your cylinder. You want to get it as stress-free and as accurately on here as possible. Do not worry about the rest of it. This is what you got to worry about, because if you're off by if your inlet holes are off, it's going to obstruct the flow even a little bit. And I know you can't tell, and I can't tell either, but you want to get that perfect and perfectly tight. Then you want to go down and start working with the rest of it. If your regular bolts won't work, you can always, and I've done this too, instead of taking this large bolt right here, which normally goes, I think it's an M10, this is an M8. And I take the 8 and I'll stick it in the large 10 hole, and it gives me a little free play to adjust the pipe, and it doesn't hurt the threads or anything because it just goes right through the hole. But it gives you a little bit of wiggle room, which is good, because what we want is we want the pipe to settle onto the bike and onto its mounts without tweaking it. You don't want to tweak it right here, and I've had them leak there. You don't want this bolt to hit here. You don't want any stressing up here, because once you get it tight, all your bolts are going to stay where you want, but your pipe is going to bend. And I can easily replace a bolt or find some Mickey Mouse way of doing the brackets, okay, in order to not screw up this pipe, because I'm not going to tell you what it costs, but cheap is weak, quality costs. And this bitch it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It cost me a lot of money. It's worth every damn dime. So we'll see how well it works in the engine. And one guy was telling me all about the dynamics of how the expansion chamber worked, and I said, yes, you're right. But the fun thing about these bikes is our expansion chambers work differently with different size cranks, different size cylinders, different size intakes, different size carburetors, different size clutches. That's all the fun, is to see how much horsepower you can get out of these. And then he said, well, what's the brake horsepower on the dyno? Or brake horsepower. And I said, well, I live in a little town in the middle of nowhere, and you know, The salesman called this place I live a graveyard with lights. It's so damn boring. Most people that die in this town fall off their bicycle and die of boredom. So I don't have a shop here with a dyno. All we have are wine tourists, which are, they got a lot of money. They come from all over the place. They buy this wine, very expensive, very foo-foo, and wine to me is like after the first 3 gallons, it all tastes the same. Rock on. This bike is going to be the meanest rocker in the village. And if you're in Australia, you know what that means.